My name is Jeanette, and I want to thank you for joining me on the channel Jane Reads. So today we are on to day 12 of Bookmas. If you haven't seen any of my Bookmas videos, they will be linked in the playlist below, and day 1 talks about the envelopes and how this is running. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and let's just get into the envelope and see what the prompt says. Okay, it is Do the Book Tag, the Christmas Carol book tag. Ooh, I gotta do some research and find this tag. Okay, so I have found the tag, and this is from the channel Elizabeth G. Reads, and it says the tag was originally created by Lauren Wade. So I will link both those channels below. It doesn't look like Elizabeth currently post anymore, but it's where I found the questions. So, okay, so question number 1 is A Ghost of Christmas Past, a book that was a childhood favorite. So I'm gonna grab one that is still on my shelves. So this one is Elizabeth Gail and the Mystery at the Johnson Farm by Hilda Stahl, maybe? I was given this book. It's got like a little plaque in it. I was given this book in February of 1989. So I would have been 11, February, I would have been 10 when I got this book. And I absolutely loved books about horses. I always did. I should reread it just to kind of see. I mean, it's, what? It is 122 pages. Huh. Yeah. So it says, Elizabeth was determined never to love anybody again, especially not foster parents. Yet the Johnson home was different. Never in her 11, almost 12 years had Libby seen such a horse or met such a warm Christian family. But she was only an 8 kid, and surely the Johnsons would grow tired of her, as all the other foster families had. Just as Libby started to relax and accept her new family's love, some strange happenings began to threaten her security. Libby knew she wasn't at fault, but who was the culprit? The mystery deepened, and so did Libby's growing faith in the Johnsons' God. Would someone solve the riddle in time to keep her from being sent away again? So apparently I liked mysteries, even at a young age, which, I mean, I knew. I really enjoyed Nancy Drew. I also remember really enjoying The Babysitter's Club, The Hardy Boys, kind of all that, you know, the typical kids books. So yeah, there is one series I read. I have no idea what it's called, but it sounds very similar to this. But it was set on a horse ranch. It was 4 books in the series, I want to say. They were all set in Kentucky, and the girl grew up around the horses and was beginning to learn to ride them and compete. And I absolutely love the series, and I so wish I could remember what it was. But I don't. If I saw the book, I think I'd be like, hey, that's the book, but I cannot remember. But this is one I do know that I read multiple times because I love horses. So, okay. So question number 2 is The Ghost of Christmas Present, a recent book that you think will become one of your all-time favorites. So a book that I've read recently that I think will stay as a favorite. What's considered recent? Because I have a few books that I've read in 2022 that I would consider a favorite, and 2 of them have been favorites for more than a year because I reread them this year. One that I'm going to say that I read this year recently. So I read it in September. And it is A Distant Melody by Sarah Sundin. This was the first book I'd ever read by Sarah Sundin, and I just fell in love with her writing. And I think because it's the first book that I've read by her and I absolutely loved it, and it encouraged me to pick up more books by her, I think that's the one that will stay a favorite, because now I have a connection to her that I want to read a bunch more by her. So I think it's going to be that one. I do not have a physical copy because I read it on my Kindle. But yeah, that's the one I'm going to say. It is a historical fiction based around World War II. Okay, so number 3 is The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come, a book coming out next year that you're most excited about. Okay, so I'm going to look at my new release list, if I can find it. Books that are coming out in 2023 that I'm most excited about. Oh, there's a few. There's a few. Okay, I'm going to mention 2 here, okay? Because how do you narrow it down to just one? So on February the 7th, The Sound of Light by Sarah Sundin is coming out. It's a Sarah Sundin book. I have really enjoyed the 4 that I've read so far this year from her, so I'm really excited to read another one. Then the other one I'm going to mention is on March the 7th, Under Fire by Lynn H. Blackburn is coming out. This is book 3 of her Defend and Protect series, and the fact that this is book 3 is the end of the trilogy, and I have book 1 and book 2 on my shelves that I'm waiting for book 3 to come out so that I can binge read all 3 of those. And I really enjoyed Lynn Blackburn's previous series, The Dive Team Investigations, so I really, really want to read that series, but I also really want to wait till book 3 is out so that I can read it. So yeah, so those are the 2 that are kind of my most anticipated for the new year. Okay, number 4, Bah Humbug, a book that everyone else loves but you can't stand. Ooh. Okay, unpopular opinion here. A book that I've heard everybody talk about, and everybody, like, I know, rated it, gave it 4 or 5 stars, like, really enjoyed it. And when I read it, it was just like, I don't get the hype. I don't get it. And that was Love and a Little White Lie by Tammy L. Gray. I gave it 3 stars. It is a love triangle, which I did not like. It is, there's stuff that happens by somebody who works at a church that I just didn't really agree with. Like, I thought it was too physical, I guess is the word, maybe. I don't know. I didn't understand the love for it. And the relationship that does happen in the end, I liked it, but it didn't seem like it came out of nowhere. Like, it was like they barely talked and all of a sudden they're together and they have really strong feelings for one each other. Like, they hardly know each other. Like, yeah. I've talked about that book before. I don't get it. The other book that is another one, I don't understand the hype, is Little Women. Yes, come after me. I did not enjoy this book at all. I found it really hard to read and follow, and I'd seen the movie, so I kind of knew the storyline, but I just couldn't get into the characters. And some of the character actions, no, not for me. Number 5 is Bob Cratchit, an old dependable that you always recommend. Okay, so this is funny because just recently I had somebody reach out to me and say, hey, I'm looking for some books, what would you recommend I read next year? And I was like, Okay. So one that comes up for me all the time. If if you are looking for a contemporary romance, 5 Days in Sky by Carla Lorando. I've recommended this to 3 people that I can think of offhand. I also bought it for my mom years ago when I first read it, and she really enjoyed it as well. It takes place in Scotland between a consultant an American consultant who goes to Scotland to help them open a hotel. And the hotel owner is also a chef. And so he'd rather stay cooking, and so that's why the consultant gets brought in. And basically she stays in Scotland for the week and gets to know the country and the family, and just romance blooms. I absolutely love that story. It's such a heartwarming story. So yeah, so that's going to be the one, the old dependable that I recommend all the time. Number 6 is Tiny Tim, an underhyped book that you think deserves more loved. An underhyped book. One that people don't talk about enough. So I'm not going with one book here. I'm going with a series. This is the Laurel Cove Romance series by Teresa Tysinger. Not sure if I'm saying her last name right, but it is a 4-book series, and it is Someplace Familiar, Suddenly Forever, Someone Found, and Say It's for Good. So Someplace Familiar originally released in 2017, and then they slowly released each year kind of after that. Say It's for Good came out in just this year, 2022. I absolutely loved the characters and the community of Laurel Cove. This is a contemporary romance. Each book could be read as a standalone as it focuses on separate characters, but the community members are the same, and you do see characters from book number 1 in book number 3, for example. Like, you see them throughout the stories. Such a heartwarming and a faith-filled stories. I gave 3 of the 4 books 5 stars, and number 2 4 stars. I didn't connect with the characters as much as I did with the other ones, but I still think, yes, this is a series that is underrated, is not talked about enough, personally. When I look at Goodreads, the first book has 178 ratings, but the other 3 books all have under 100 ratings. So yeah, that is not hyped at all. So yes, that is the series I would recommend checking out. Okay, number 7. Today. Why, it's Christmas Day. What's a book that always gets you in the mood for Christmas, apart from A Christmas Carol? A book that always gets me in the mood for Christmas? I'm going to go with A Christmas Bargain by Shanna Hatfield. I know I've talked about this a ton, but it really the climax of the book happens at Christmas, on Christmas Day. And throughout the whole book, they first meet the beginning of November, so then they go past Thanksgiving, like Thanksgiving happens in the book, and then they go out and get a Christmas tree and are decorating for Christmas, setting the church up for Christmas, families coming to visit for Christmas. Like, it's very Christmas heavy, and working on gifts for Christmas and that kind of thing, right? Like, that definitely gives Christmas feels. Okay, number 8, The Muppet Christmas Carol. Your favorite film adaptation of a book. Film adaptation of a book. Ooh. What books to film have I seen? Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. And the film adaptation is Christmas with the Cranks with Tim Allen. I loved the story and I loved the movie. Yes, that's going to be my favorite. And I think it's probably one of the only ones where I've read the book and then seen the movie. I can't think of others that I've actually... I cannot think of others where I've seen both. Like, I've seen the movie well, okay, there's one, I guess. I've seen the movie Little Women, and I've read the book. I've seen the movie Emma. I haven't read the book. I don't think I've read a Jane Austen book, actually. And I've seen a lot of the movies. Maybe this should be a goal next year, right? I do have Emma, too, on the shelf. The others, Agatha Christie, those aren't film adaptations. Well, I mean, they are, but the ones I've seen, the ones I've read, and the ones, yeah. I think maybe I need to, but I don't really watch a lot of movies, so maybe that's it. I was thinking I really should maybe make a priority of reading a book and then watching the movie, but I have not read very many book, movie like that are both, or I'm just not interested in the movie or the book. Kind of, yeah. But I also don't watch a lot of movies at all, so kind of one that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, but I've not read the book that I have seen the movie is The Bridge by Karen Kingsbury, but I haven't read the book, which sounds like I might be reading soon from a previous day's Bookmas video. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with this one because it's the only one I can think of where I've actually read the book, watched the movie, and enjoyed the movie and the book. So yeah, so Skipping Christmas by John Grisham and Christmas of the Cranks with Tim Allen. Okay, and that was all the questions. The last thing says to tag someone. So I'm not going to tag anybody right now because we're kind of in the middle of Bookmas. A lot of the people I watch are doing Bookmas videos. But if you want to do this video, your tag. I'd love to see some of your answers and kind of just hear and chat about Christmas related stuff, and maybe it doesn't even have to be Christmas related because some of the books I chose were not Christmas related. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and I'd love it if you would like and subscribe to the channel and tune back in tomorrow for Bookmas Day 13. Thank you. Bye.